Morning, guys. Happy Monday. Don't mind me over here wearing the exact same thing I was wearing last night, being even more smelly than I was then. So, we're just not going to talk about that. But I wanted to talk with you guys this morning about goals and maybe a different way to think about them. This morning when I woke up, well, the first time I woke up, my alarm went off and I did not want to get out of bed. I didn't want to do it. I hit snooze and I kind of closed my eyes a little bit more and went through that whole battle in your head of, do I get up? Do I not get up? Do I reset my alarm? Do I get out of bed? Do I just go to sleep and see what happens? Like, I don't know. And finally I did the whole literally 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out of bed. So I did that. I got up, I got out there, which is why I'm wearing the same thing that I wore last night. Most of the time I'll take off whatever I'm wearing, put it beside my bed. That way I have no excuse like not to be ready to go in the morning to do something active. So I literally just put on what I was wearing the night before because it's about to get gross anyway, right? And I literally have my shoes sitting by the front door and I walk outside. I don't do anything else. But that's not the point of the Monday motivation this morning. The point is to talk about how to think about goals, especially big goals, a little bit differently. So I don't know if you've been following my health journey, but I've lost a lot of weight or fat, that kind of thing. I've gotten a lot healthier, but I'm not in great shape. And I've just recently, like in July, started walking again. And that's literally all I've done. And I've almost intimidated myself a little bit about running. And I used to be a runner, not a fast runner, but I've run a couple of half marathons, things like that. I put these goals out there for myself years ago and went out and did them. But I've been really intimidated by running because I haven't done it in like 4 years, maybe 3 years at all. I've attempted a couple of times, and I say attempted, I gave up really easily. A couple of mornings when I went out and was going for walks in the morning, and the furthest I made it so far was like 0.6 miles. My neighborhood's kind of hilly, and I would get to a hill, and I would just be like, oh, well, I'll walk up the hill and then I'll run the rest of the way. And I did that the whole way. I would jog some and then I would walk up whatever hill it was. It was like before I even started, I told myself in my mind, like, if I get to a hill, I'm going to walk up it. So that was fine. And so I've stuck to walking. I haven't really run. And this morning, this really translates to goals, I promise you. But this morning, I was walking like normal and I saw these two women and their dogs jogging along, and I'm like, why am I not jogging? That's like, I physically could do it. Like, I've got to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. You start where you are. You don't start where someone else is. And I think that's part of what gets us intimidated. And so I just started jogging. And when I got to that first big hill, in my mind at first I was like, oh, I'm just going to jog until I get to that hill. And then I got to the hill and I'm like, you know what? Screw that. I'm going to make it up the hill today. And I'm going to start jogging, and whatever it takes, I'm going to get up that hill still jogging, and maybe I'll rest when I get to the top of it. And so I made it, and it's a huge hill. It's a really huge hill in my neighborhood. And so I made it up the hill. I'm like, okay, it gets flat for a while. I can keep going. That's good. And so I set a new goal for myself, and it was like, okay, if I just want to jog for 10 straight minutes. And literally for me right now, that's a lot because I haven't done it in years. And so I made it 10 straight minutes. And then I got to, at some point around there, I got to another smaller hill. I'm like, I can do it. I can make it just up this hill. And then, okay, 15 minutes. That's my new goal. I want to jog for 15 minutes without stopping. And so I did that. And then it was, okay, I want to get to the end of the neighborhood. And then it was, okay, when I get to my turnaround point that I always turn around, it's like, I don't know, 1.5 miles in usually. When I get to it's where the ABC store is. But when I get there, then I'll walk. But I turned around there, and it was like, I kept going. It had all these little mini goals. It's like I met one. I'm like, okay, I can go just a little bit further. And I ended up running today, and I still can't even believe it because it's been so long, with tons of hills in there too. I went over 2.5 miles before I walked. And that was huge for me because if I would have set out this morning saying, I'm going to jog 2.5 miles, I would have never done it. I really don't think I would have done it. And As I went through all of that, I thought that translated really well into goals for just about anything. People want these big things, and they either quit really early, or they think they failed, they talk themselves out of it. Whatever it is, they don't do it because it's just too big. Your mind can't comprehend it. If you have a lot of weight to lose, for example, if you're like, I'm going to go and lose 50 pounds or 100 pounds, that seems overwhelming for anyone, because that's something that has to take place over a very long period of time. And you have to dedicate a lot of time and effort and missing out for some people on it. And you give up so easily. I want to go and run a marathon. There's a reason that people don't just get up one day and go run a marathon. You have to train for months and months for it. I mean, the half marathons I ran years ago, I trained for like 3 months because I wasn't capable of doing that. But if you were to go out and say, I want to run a half marathon right now, you wouldn't make it. You probably, unless you're already in amazing that shape of that type, you're not going to make it 13.1 miles. Or if it's, I want to be XYZ, I want to go back to school to be a doctor. I've done this one before, not as a doctor, but I've given up before I even started, because what I always wanted to do and what I never did when I was younger for a lot of different reasons, I wanted to be a veterinarian. I love animals. And at one point, like 10 years ago, I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to school to be a veterinarian. What's it going to take? And I didn't have all the right classes to even get into vet school, so I would basically have had to go to college again and then go to vet school. I was looking at like 7 more years of school. And I gave up before I even started because I'm like, oh, that's too hard. I can't do it. I totally could have done it. I chose not to. It was too big. I could have just started going back to school for, regular classes when I could fit it in with work. And it would have taken me longer to get there, but I could be there by now. Like, I could be a veterinarian right now if I would have actually followed through on it, but it was too big at the time. So I just wanted you to think about that. That's what I don't know, what was running through my head today for today's Monday motivation was stop looking at the big, crazy goal. It's sometimes just too big for our minds to comprehend. Break them down into smaller, bite-sized chunks. Don't say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds by Christmas. That's crazy. You're setting yourself up for failure. It might be possible, but how about I want to lose 5 pounds in the month of October? I want to start making better choices to make that so. And then you're going to gain confidence as you meet some of those little goals. And then you'll add another little one on top of that, and another little one on top of that. And before you know it, you're going to meet some pretty big goals. If it's, I want to, some people are like, I haven't been working out for years, and so I suddenly want to 5 days a week work out. Maybe that's a little steep for your mind to comprehend. Don't set yourself up for failure. I'm not saying don't set big goals, but maybe start with 3 days a week, any 3 days. I don't care if it's morning, noon, night, whatever, like 3 days a week, I want to do something active, and then build on that. So that's kind of my feedback to you related to my run this morning. I don't think I would have been able to do it in my current mindset if I just said, I'm going to go run 2.5 miles today, because I haven't run 2.5 miles in like 3 or 4 years. So make little baby goals, bite-sized chunks that you can digest. Those can give you confidence along the way to get you closer and closer to the big goal. And before you know it, you'll be at the big goal or close to it, or that big goal doesn't seem so far-fetched anymore, and you'll be able to, you'll be more likely to accomplish it. So I hope that helps. That's what I was thinking about this morning. I've legit got to go take a shower. I'm glad no one's here right now, because yikes. All right, well, you guys have a good Monday and a good week. I'll see you later.